Metroplex, all across the state of Texas, all across the nation, we hope. The Salvation Army is standing at the doors of retail places with the red kettles and the bells ringing. I'm with Charlotte Jones Anderson today, who is serving, now let me get this right, as the chairman of the National Advisory Board.
Yes.
Aren't you the first woman to hold this position?
I am, as my father likes to say, in 125 years, finally. So yes, I am. It's
How
a
did
distinct
that come
pleasure.
about?
Well, our family has been involved with the Salvation Army for now 17 years, and as we began to launch this Red Kettle campaign, of course, we became more and more involved in the Salvation Army, and it's one of those organizations that when you find out what they're about, you just can't help but want to keep giving and giving and giving.
No.
And then they asked me to be on the national board, which was a great honor, and then just a few years ago asked me to be the chairman of the national board. So it was a tremendous honor, one that I have not taken lightly, that has come with an immense responsibility, but such an immense reward.
What would your duties be as on this board?
Well, I think the greatest thing is that I get to travel around the country and see what the Salvation Army is doing in all different cities and different towns. And that's what's so great about the Salvation Army is they really take that need in that particular community and address the most prevalent need.
And isn't something like of every dollar, 87 or 89 cents goes directly to the people they serve?
Right there, and right there in your own community. So if you give to the Salvation Army here in the Metroplex, it stays right here, even though they're a national organization where you give helps your community, and that's what's so great.
And what blows me away is that in this day and age of huge salaries and things like that, the top executive director in the Salvation Army,
They make hardly anything. They are such great humble stewards of other people's generosity, and that is what they do. They give their life to help other people. So the least we can do is help them out so they can do their job.
Well, I've done several interviews with different majors throughout my lifetime, and one of them had a pin on that I'll never forget, and they gave me that pin, and it is the pin that many of them wear. It simply says others. And I wear it thinking, that's really what life is all about, is others. Not me, but you.
But others, exactly.
So I put that on when I need that kind of kick in the butt, to get me in gear and not be on about myself.
Isn't that great? It's been said that the purpose of life is to live a purposeful life. That's the Salvation Army. That's what they do.
That's what they do.
Every day, and it sure makes you feel good to help them do what they do best.
And they do it in wool suits.
Oh my God.
In 100 degrees.
Yes, they do. They do it everywhere in that same great suit. They truly are an army, and it's certainly not about themselves, and it's about others. And I guess that wool suit comes in handy during the holidays when they're standing out there ringing those bells. So we have to admire that.
Have you ever stood out there and done one of those bells?
Absolutely, I have, with my kids, and that's the secret. Take your children, because everyone loves to give to kids, and they are not afraid to ask anybody to give them some change. So
how many children do you have?
I have 3.
Okay, so in your life, when did you actually start working in the Cowboys?
Gosh, that's almost been 25 years ago.
And so, did you ever go in and tell your mother and daddy, I am never going to do this. I'm going out. I'm going to do something different.
I think I've quit 4 or 5 times along the way. And they said, that's not an option. That's just not an option.
Have your children ever said that to you?
You know what? I'm sure I'm about to get it. They say what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't want to go into that personal aspect of your life, but you're so fascinating to so many of us. But I want to stay strictly with the Salvation Army and the cattle. How can we motivate people to say, okay, look, I'm going to walk by there. I'm not going to just go in. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to drop something in the kettle.
Just drop some change. I think that's the most important thing, is for people to understand that change makes a difference, and that your pennies, your dollars, your quarters, all of that really can impact, can feed a hungry child, can put shelter over someone's head, and can make a significant difference in someone's life. And I think that that's the least we can do, is to drop some spare change in a kettle, or to go ring a bell if you can volunteer, or to draft an angel off the Salvation Army's
Yes,
angel tree.
the angel tree
and
is just
provide
so
Christmas.
wonderful.
I mean, that is the ultimate giving right
Do
there.
you have a favorite story, an inspirational story, or something firsthand that you saw?
Well, I tell you what, I get to see so many great stories because the Salvation Army is about providing hope to people who have none. And so they are really changing lives of kids. And we just opened the Youth Education Town right over here in Arlington, and it has a homeless shelter attached to it.
It does?
And these kids, for the first time, said, if it wasn't for the Salvation Army, I'd be living in the back of my car.
No,
And they're
that's true,
12
though.
years old. And you know, you think about that and you just think, thank goodness the Salvation Army is here to offer that for them.
And thank goodness that there are people like you who have a high profile that help them get there, because they won't get there if it's not for people like you.
You know, I
and
think,
your family,
well,
and the
you're,
Cowboys.
You're very kind to say that. I think we have really realized that with the Cowboys, that all this interest and visibility that we enjoy as a football organization, I mean, we know that what we do is play football, but if people are so interested in that, and we can use that interest to talk about something like the Salvation Army and about how important
That's
it is
right.
to give, then we have really reached a better
What
purpose.
is that saying that says, to those who are given much,
Much is to be
is expected?
Yes.
And I think this organization, your mom, your dad, and I want to say, by the way, that you have a fabulous mother.
Thank you.
And
yes, I do.
No, you do, and you look so much like your mom.
Thank you.
And she's just a beautiful woman. I've had the privilege of spending a little time with her from time to time, but she's always in the background, and I just love her grace and dignity.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, you
Well-
know, they say giving spirit starts at home, and it certainly does with both of our parents, but my mother in particular. And I think that she's definitely a whipcracker when it comes to giving back and making sure that we all have our priorities
Yes,
straight.
she is. You know, there's a favorite quote I have that says, because the Salvation Army, and you mentioned the word spirit and the spiritual life, it is said that the spiritual life is not about learning more, it's about loving more. And that is nowhere more evident than with the Salvation Army, the Red Kettle, people like my friend Charlotte, and people like you. We'll see you at the front door when that kettle bell is ringing. We'll be right back.